In 1970, Estadio Azteca watched Pele become immortal. In 1986, it watched Diego Maradona become myth. And in 2026, the same stadium opens another World Cup. But this time, the question is not what the Azteca can give to football history. The question is what Mexico can give back to the Azteca. Because on June 11, 2026, Mexico plays South Africa in the opening match of the World Cup. The ceremony will be huge. The stadium will be alive. The whole country will feel like it is standing in one place. And from the outside, it will look like a celebration. Mexico hosting the World Cup again. The Azteca back at the center of the football universe. A nation that lives and breathes the game, finally getting the first spotlight of the biggest tournament ever. But for Mexico, this is not just a party. It is a reckoning. Because no country has a World Cup relationship quite like Mexico. Mexico has history. Mexico has stadiums. Mexico has fans. Mexico has noise, memory, pressure, identity, and one of the most famous football buildings on earth. But Mexico also has a problem that has followed it for decades. The fifth game, El Quinto Partido. For years, that phrase has haunted Mexican football. It means the quarter-final. It means the point where a World Cup stops being a good tournament and starts becoming a great one. It means crossing the line from respected to feared. And for Mexico, that line has been brutal. From 1994 to 2018, Mexico kept reaching the knockout rounds. 7 World Cups in a row, they got out of the group. That consistency was impressive. Most countries would be proud of it. But every time, the story ended in the same room. The round of 16. Bulgaria in 1994, Germany in 1998, the United States in 2002, Argentina in 2006, Argentina again in 2010, the Netherlands in 2014, Brazil in 2018. Different opponents, same ceiling. Mexico were good enough to belong, but not good enough to break through. That is why the Quinto Partido became more than a football phrase. It became a national frustration. A reminder that Mexico were always there, always dangerous, always emotional, always backed by millions, but never quite among the teams that made the world afraid. Then came 2022, and even that old frustration disappeared. In Qatar, Mexico did not lose in the round of 16. They did not reach it. They went out in the group stage for the first time since 1978. That matters, because for almost 30 years, Mexican fans could at least count on one thing. The team would get through the group. Maybe the ending would hurt. Maybe the 5th game would stay locked. But Mexico would not vanish before the knockouts. In 2022, they did. So when Mexico opened the 2026 World Cup at home, they are not arriving from a place of comfort. They are arriving from the tournament that broke their habit of survival. And that makes 2026 strange, because the format itself has changed. This is the first 48-team World Cup, 12 groups of 4. The top 2 in each group go through. Then the 8 best third-place teams join them. 32 teams enter the knockouts. That means a new round has been added before the old round of 16. And suddenly, Mexico's old curse gets complicated. In the old format, the 5th game meant a quarterfinal, 3 group games, a round of 16 match, then the 5th game, the breakthrough. But in 2026, the math changes. 3 group games, round of 32, round of 16, that is 5 games. So Mexico could technically play a 5th game without reaching the quarterfinals. The tournament has made the phrase easier, but it has not made the achievement easier. That is the trap. Mexico do not just need a 5th match. They need the thing the 5th match used to represent. They need a World Cup that proves they are more than the team that almost always turns up and almost never scares the elite. That is why the opener against South Africa is not just a soft start. It is a mirror. 16 years earlier, Mexico and South Africa opened the 2010 World Cup in Johannesburg. South Africa scored first. Sifiwe Tshabalala hit one of the great opening goals in World Cup history. Rafa Marquez equalized for Mexico. The match ended 1-1. South Africa had the emotional moment. Mexico had the escape. Now the same fixture opens the tournament again, but this time Mexico are the hosts. This time Mexico are the team with the stadium, the ceremony, the expectation, the pressure. And that changes the meaning of the game. If Mexico win, people will say they did what a host should do. If Mexico struggle, the noise will start immediately. Because opening matches are not normal matches. They set the emotional weather of a tournament. For a host country, they decide whether the first week feels like liftoff or panic. And Mexico know that better than almost anyone. Their two best World Cup finishes came at home. In 1970, Mexico reached the quarterfinals. In 1986, they reached the quarterfinals again. Both times, the World Cup was in Mexico. Both times, the country got further than it usually does. Both times, the Azteca became part of the story. But there is something uncomfortable in that. Mexico's deepest World Cup runs are also reminders that the country has not crossed that line away from home. The stadium gave them the stage. The team has spent 40 years trying to recreate the result. That is why 2026 feels heavy. The Azteca is not just a home advantage, it is a witness. It watched Pele's Brazil win the 1970 final. It watched Maradona's Argentina win the 1986 final. It watched the hand of God. It watched the goal of the century. It watched Manuel Negrete score one of Mexico's most beautiful World Cup goals. It has seen greatness up close. But most of the greatness people remember from that stadium belongs to someone else. That is the cruel thing about football cathedrals. They do not automatically make the home team holy. They remember everything. And in 2026, the Azteca will remember Mexico too. It will remember whether the team looked like a host with purpose or a host trying to survive its own party. There is another layer to this. Mexico's football culture is one of the most powerful in the world. The fans travel. The shirts are everywhere. The anthem is loud. The emotion is real. But the World Cup will also put that culture under inspection. In the months before the tournament, the old discriminatory chant issue resurfaced in Mexican stadiums, and AP reported that FIFA sanctions could become a World Cup embarrassment if it appears again. That is not the whole Mexico story. It should not be, but it is part of the reckoning. Because hosting a World Cup means showing the world who you are when everyone is watching. Not just your best memories, not just your colors, not just your noise, your habits too, your pressure, your frustrations, your ability to turn passion into something bigger than anger. So Mexico's 2026 is not one question, it is several. Can they win the opener without turning the tournament into a pressure cooker? Can they escape a group where expectation alone will not protect them? Can they turn the new format into a real opportunity, not just an easier path to a statistic? Can they finally make the fifth game mean what it was always supposed to mean? And can they use the biggest home stage in Mexican football history to show a version of themselves that feels proud, dangerous, and modern? That is why this World Cup is not simply a celebration. Celebration is easy. Mexico already knows how to celebrate football. The harder thing is proof. Proof that 2022 was a collapse, not a warning. Proof that hosting is not the achievement. Proof that the Azteca can belong to Mexico's future, not only to Pele, Maradona, and the ghost of tournaments past. On June 11th, the whole world will look at Mexico City. The cameras will show the flags, the crowd, the opening ceremony, the old stadium, the first whistle of the biggest World Cup ever. And for a moment, it will feel like the story is about the tournament beginning. But for Mexico, it will be something more personal. It will be a country standing inside its own football history, asking whether this time, at home, in the stadium that has seen everything, Mexico can finally stop being the team that belongs at the World Cup and start being the team that changes one.